We have eggs that are so soft you can prick with a fork. There are also eggs that look like a small beehive with hundreds of little ones inside. There are even eggs that look like the pointy end of a corkscrew. So don't swipe or click away because these are the most unique eggs in the world. Number 10. Giant water bug eggs. If it looks dead and is lying motionless in the water, don't touch it. This is a defense mechanism they've developed to protect themselves when large predators approach. If you get too close, they're known to attack and the bite can be excruciatingly painful because of the venom. However, it's nothing to be alarmed about. As for their young, the female will get on the back of a male and lay the eggs there. The male cannot mate during this period and has to wait for all of the eggs to hatch. While the male is waiting for about 100 of these little critters to spawn to life, the female goes out and seeks a different sexual partner to mate with. Now that's what you call girl power. Number 9. Octopus Eggs. The octopus has a weird mating ritual, so we won't get into that. We'll just say that it's the stuff of nightmares. Anywho, about 40 days after doing the nasty, the female will take all of the eggs and attach them in strings to rocks and crevices. Then, the next 160 days will be spent watching the young and making sure no one gets close to them. This means that a female octopus's life is spent mainly guarding and raising the young. And to make matters worse, the thanks she gets for aerating and cleaning them is death. After 160 days of not eating to make sure all 70,000 eggs hatch, the mother dies of starvation, and the father is even worse off since he dies immediately after mating. Number 8. Frog Eggs. We've all seen tadpoles, but have you ever seen what the eggs of a frog look like? Well, they're really small, they have this gelatinous outer shell, and then they have a small dark dot in the middle. That's the frog. That's what's going to turn into a frog later on. Now, depending on the species of frog, some lay clusters of these eggs in one spot, and the others tend to string them like a pearl necklace in the water. And one of the coolest things that we've learned about these guys is that the larvae inside the egg have this innate ability to detect movements on the outside, and if they sense danger, they'll hatch sooner than expected. Mainly, a frog doesn't become a frog right away. From a tadpole, they have several other evolution phases to go through before they smash that like button, just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, they go through several different phases before turning into a frog. Number 7. Squid Eggs. The squid mating ritual is very similar to that of the octopus. After the eggs have been fertilized, the female will attach hundreds of these capsule-like pointy eggs onto a coral, a rock, an algae, or something in between. What's interesting is that other squids deposit the eggs on the same spot, so if you find all, you find them all. But don't you dare touch them! Before leaving, the females spray the eggs with a protein that will keep the males close and make them aggressive towards anyone that tries to lay a hand on them. Number 6. Praying Mantis Eggs. Now, we all know that the mating ritual involves the female eating the male alive after their autumn intercourse, but did you know how the mantis eggs are laid? First of all, the female will mix the eggs with a frothy substance inside her abdomen, then she'll lay them on some flat surfaces. There are hundreds of eggs mixed inside that mixture that looks like shaving cream, and then as the time passes, ootheca, as it's called, will harden. After about 3 to 4 weeks, the young will hatch and hundreds of them will come flocking out from this little satchel. Number 5. Ladybug Eggs. We were today years old when we found out that the ladybug goes through an evolution phase and the larva has to pupate in order to become a ladybug. Hey, beauty is expensive. Some pay for creams and lotions, others have to encase themselves in a hard-shelled pupa and wait for ages. Now back to the ladybug eggs. There are different species and varieties, but all of their eggs are small and yellow. They are roughly the same size as a grain of table salt, and once they hatch, depending on the physical appearance of the larva, we'll know what kind of a ladybug we're dealing with. Number 4. Emu Eggs. These Aussie birds have a weird breeding ritual. They don't like to go fast and quick, they take their time. In the summer months of December and January, they'll form mating pairs. They will remain for about 5 months together and they'll fatten up during the period. The mating period happens between April and June after a funny-looking mating ritual. They'll mate every other day and lay 1 egg every second or third day. Their maximum is about 15 eggs, which means that they'll be laying eggs for about a month. These green, thick-shelled large eggs are then incubated over the course of 8 weeks, and even though some eggs were laid later, they all hatch in about 2 days. Top 3. Number 3. Emperor Penguin Eggs. Here's something you don't see every day. The male is actually present when the female gives birth. This is to ensure the egg doesn't freeze in cold temperatures. The mother lays a single pear-shaped egg in either May or June, and the father is there to watch the spectacle. As the egg comes out, it's greenish-white in color, and the mother has to be extremely cautious not to drop it. If the egg touches the icy floor for even a second, all of that effort would have been for nothing. So, to avoid freezing the embryo, the mother will put its tail underneath and hold her feet close to one another. Once the 1-pound egg falls, she'll catch it and give it immediately to the husband to incubate it. He'll hold it above his feet and incubate it in his brood patch. That's a special section of his body that's made up of loose skin and feathers that keeps the egg warm. The mother goes to feed because her reserves have been depleted, and the father will carry the egg for about 65 and 75 days. Because they can't eat for about 120 days during the incubation period, they lose about half of their body weight from 80 to 40 pounds. They're the only species that do this. Number 2. Snake eggs. There are 3,600 different species of snakes, about 7 out of every 10 lay eggs, and some can even give birth to live young. So when you consider that there are snakes that lay about 100 eggs at a time, it's no wonder that there are so many snakes in the wilderness. But mom snake isn't really attached to the young. Once the eggs have formed a shell inside the mother and are fertilized, she is ready to lay them. This usually occurs in sand or on some soft surface because these oblong eggs have a very soft and leather-like exterior. Anyone can damage them very easily. That's why laying them in the sand will protect them from breaking. If you come across a nest of snake eggs, you don't have to wonder whether or not the mother is near. Once they lay the eggs, the mama snake will leave the nest, so don't be afraid. However, we wouldn't advise touching them because they're so delicate. Just turning them could kill the embryo. Once the little ones are ready to hatch, they use one of their teeth to puncture the leathery shell, and once out, this tooth will fall off. It's sacrificed for the sake of life. Number 1. Spiral horn shark egg. This is a horn shark, and this is its egg. It's not a giant screw, it's actually an egg containing a shark that's waiting to be hatched. The horn shark is an endemic species and can be found all along the Californian coast and the Gulf of California. Surprisingly enough, these predators like to hunt at night, and they usually go alone. Their food of choice aren't fish, but actually hard-shelled mollusks and crustacean. Their jaws have evolved in such a way as to make it super easy for the horn shark to crush any hard shell of their prey. Now that we got to know the fish a little bit, let's talk about their eggs. In a period of 3 months, February, March, and April, the females lay the eggs. Each female can lay about 24 eggs in total, 2 at a time. Once all of these alien-looking black eggs have been laid, the female will go ahead and pick them up with their mouth and wedge them in the crevices of rocks and corals. This way, the eggs will be protected from predators. These corkscrew-like eggs are very soft and pliable when they are hatched, but they firm up relatively quickly once they're outside. Usually, they're laid in water that's between 7 and 40 feet deep. Each of the eggs is between 4 and 5 inches long, and they're about 1.5 inches wide. It takes about anywhere from 6 to 10 months for the young to hatch, and once they do, we're talking about little 6 or 7 inch sharks that are ready to grow up. If you enjoyed this video, you'll like the next one. This is Koala with Koality Content. See you soon.